Just start off with this. You guys probably heard the news that we are. I think he's signing his extension pretty quick here. Hopefully get him out to practice. But really excited for Jordan Love, his family. He's been through a lot here. He's worked his tail off, and he certainly earned this. So we're very, very excited to kind of have some stability at that position and kind of get past this part of it. Really proud of how he handled himself through all this, and got to give a lot of credit to Russ Ball and David Mulugeta and Andrew Kessler, the agents for Jordan, of getting through this. These things are not easy; they take time, and they can be complicated. But very professional the way that thing went down, and excited to get it done. So it'll be good to see him out of practice, hopefully today.
Brian, you gambled on him all the way back to April of 2020. Why were you so steadfast all along that this was the guy, and what does it feel like, I guess, maybe to have it pay off like this for both?
Yeah, I mean, there's no absolutes in this business, as you guys know, and but certainly he was a very gifted player. As we got to know him in the pre-draft process, who he was fit what we wanted here, and from a culture perspective. We thought he had really, there was nothing he couldn't do that we were going to ask of our quarterback. We knew he needed some time, and he needed to develop, and he needed to play. And I think once when you really get to know these guys is when you get them in your building, you get them in your process, and you get to see how they work and how they kind of endear themselves to their teammates, how important it is to them. And certainly since he's been here, he's checked all those boxes, And I think as we moved along and he progressed, and we realized that he was going to be the next guy. And then seeing how he handled that this past year, becoming the guy, handling that pressure, coming out the other side of it, just gave us a lot of confidence. I think that this is a guy that's going to lead us into the future, and we're really excited about that.
What sort of pushed it over the edge to get done? Did Tua's deal have anything to do with it? And you mentioned structure the other day.
Yeah.
Was that kind of the last part of it? Or?
Yeah, a little bit. I think, again, we won't get into the details of the contract, but I don't think anything that happened yesterday was, pushed it over the edge, so to speak. We were very, very close over the last few days. There's always little things that you're trying to work through that are important to us, important to them. Again, I give those they're his agents and Russ a ton of credit for finding common ground, and feel really good about where we're at, and good to get it behind us so we can just concentrate on football now.
You said the things he had to go through, and then you guys realizing that he was going to be the next guy. I mean, there were times, I'm sure you saw it too during practice those first couple of years, where I don't know if you could have known if he was the guy or not, right? There were some inconsistencies.
No, I think all along. I mean, he made so many big plays early on. He had so many wild throws. It just was the consistency. I think that's the thing. And I mean, as we got to know him early, we realized it was just going to be a matter of time. Now he's got to do it, right? Like you can't put it before that. But I think we saw it. It was just a matter of, okay, how long will it take him to become consistent in these things? And but the talent, I mean, the overwhelming ability to throw the ball, move, athleticism, all that stuff was apparent right away. Again, it was a really weird kind of transition in the NFL with COVID and no preseason, and he was a guy that needed to play. He was a young player coming out of Utah State and needed games under his belt, and just early in his career wasn't able to get that. So, but again, really proud of him for his focus, his determination, and then. I think just, we got to certain moments during the course of his kind of development where he was taking over with the ones, and then everything started to accelerate. And then you realized that he just needed to play. And then we got through that part of that season early last year, and then everything took off.
So what I was going to ask was, so you said on Monday, it's not like we're having to decide whether he's the franchise quarterback or not, right? So, but at the same time, you just said he does have to prove it. So was part of the process kind of figuring out, okay, we know he's the guy, we love this guy, we're very confident in him, but we do only have 10 games of like really, really good football from him. Was that part of the process, or was that not really an issue in your mind?
As far as the process with the contract?
Like figuring out
Yeah.
how to pay someone who has
Right.
a lot of talent, but maybe not a more full resume.
Yeah, I think that it's circumstantial, right? It's just kind of the way things unfolded. But I guess if things would have unfolded differently, then it would have been different. But certainly the way he finished and the way he progressed, not only him, but our whole football team. And obviously he's the leader of our offense and our team. But yeah, I think it's certainly we did something last year to give us some time to get to this point, which again, I think really helped us, from that perspective, get to this point right now. And I think it's, in my opinion, the hardest position to play in all of sports. And to have a guy that, you really believe in and that has done things the right way all the way through is a very comforting feeling.
So Brian, I mean, you committed to him for the next, couple of years going forward. What's kind of the projection, or what went through your mind of what Jordan Love can be in those next steps?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I think I think what gives me comfort is that I know that he's going to work to be whatever he can be, the best version of himself. He's done that consistently since he's been here. And to see his learning and his growth over that time, I don't expect that to change. I think that's the one thing, again, that I feel really good about is that, we're not just because of the contract, we're not going to ask him to do anything more than he's been doing. We want to be himself and keep doing what he's been doing. If he does that, then I really don't think, there's, a limit on what he can accomplish.
Financially, as far as the cap goes, is there a challenge here when we have that gigantic of a contract of building a team around him?
Yeah, I think there always is. Whenever you have these big contracts, there's some challenges that we've dealt with that pretty much, for the past, I don't know however many years. So that's part of it, but I would rather be dealing with this challenge than some others, So, that'll be part of it. It'll be important that we continue to draft well and make good decisions along the way. But, having that position stable and a guy who we know can perform at a high level, I'll take that every day.
When it comes to historic days for this organization and what this means for you guys moving forward, where does this rank on the ranks?
That's probably, I'm not sure I can answer that question. It's for us, it's just, hey, now we can just get to focusing on football, and the team and moving forward and trying to accomplish what we're going to try to accomplish this year. But, again, I think it's certainly important for him, no doubt about it. The stability that this gives him, I think, allows him to kind of head into the season without a whole lot of pressure on him, comparative to maybe what it would have been. So, but now it's just about these guys, putting the work in, getting better, and hopefully that'll start with him today.
Part of that, when you drafted him, obviously there's a lot on your shoulders. A lot of people criticizing that decision when you drafted him. I know maybe not in the history of the franchise, but for you personally, to see it play out the way it has when you took such a risk, and the reward is now where it's at, is it one of the more rewarding things of your career so far?
Not the contract thing. I mean, for me, it's about it's about our football team and winning. Really happy for him and his family. I'm happy for the Packers. But these things are nice. Nobody gets into it. Usually for this is more about winning. And I think getting beyond this is helpful to that. It'll be a positive thing going forward. So. That's what I'm focused on. That's, I think, what we do this for. But certainly for him, I'm excited for him and his family.
The market for quarterbacks has exploded. Are the numbers basically just what you thought they'd be?
Yeah. I mean, we kind of roughly knew kind of a range of where it was going to be, and it's where it fell. It's the hard part for me sometimes is when you kind of know that, you'd love for it to be done quicker, but it never transpires that way. It always takes time, and. The one thing I think that, again, I'm very pleased, Jordan showed up when the rookies and quarterbacks, showed up. He's been engaged in everything 100% with the exception of going out there and practicing. So, I'm really pleased that that's the kind of way that he approached it. Certainly would have loved him out there and expected him to be out there at practice, but the fact that he did all the other things, I think made this easier to get done.
Is there more than a 1 year window like this year where you don't get slammed from a cap standpoint? Do you have is it more than just 1 year?
Yeah, I think it is going to be more than this one, Tom. I think there's, again, it's certainly going to, like Bill was talking about, it's going to create some challenges down the road. I think our football team as a whole, not just Jordan's contract, but our football team as a whole is in really good shape. Russ has done a great job, and I certainly think the kind of the young players that we went with last year has been helpful to that, to get us out of kind of where we were. But the next few years, I think we're going to be in pretty good shape. There'll be some challenges down the road, no doubt.
You were out there on the field with them a couple of times up there. Could you get a sense of how bad he wanted to get back out there? I know he was standing there with the team,
Yeah.
but it seemed that he was, a lot of players wouldn't get back out there and still be with the team during the situation. Could you get a sense of how bad he wanted?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a great question for him. We talked every day, but I could, I did feel so there was an uncomfortable part of him that really wanted to be out there and be with his teammates. You know what I mean? And he's always kind of been that way. Even when he was, sitting behind Aaron, I think, he always wanted to be at that. The guy loves to be out there. He loves football. He loves being with his teammates. So yeah, this wasn't easy for him. I think he very much believed it was the right thing to do for him and his family, and I respect that greatly. But this wasn't easy for him.
On field is one thing, but what have you seen from him from your seat as far as the leadership side of it and kind of the role that he's taken on these last 4 years?
Yeah, and we've talked about that in here before. I think just how steady he is, how consistent he is with his approach. He's never really changed. He has excellent work ethic. He works at it. It's very important to him. His teammates see that. I think whether it's the ups and the downs and all the things you go through, he just doesn't seem to flinch. He doesn't seem to react. All these guys feel pressure at different times, but he's just, I think he's very kind of focused to get through those things. And, he's been through a lot of different kind of adversity, whether it's been off the field or on the field. And he just, I think he has a very good way of handling those things and getting to the other side of them.
Brian, what's your relationship been like with Jordan from the time that you drafted him, he came in, and then to today?
Again, he's very consistent. He's very steady. He's a really easygoing guy to deal with. And I'm like I said, when it's come to things where he's had to make decisions on things and tough things, I've always been, really pleased with the decisions that he's made. So no, yeah, really, really good.
Projecting the cap could get to say 300 million by 2026. So let's just say he's not gobbling up a quarter of your cap in 2 years. Is that something that kind of factored? Did you project it that way?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you can never, those things are never, I mean, after going through COVID, you always have a little bit of a, because things can change in a hurry. So a little bit of that, understanding where this thing's going. But at the same time, for me, it's more about, this position is the most important position in our football team, right? And having that secure, having a guy that you feel can play at a high level, win games, is really, really important. So, nothing really starts until you have that, right? So we do, and we're excited about it, and now we got to go do it. But certainly, I think the jump in the cap this year and kind of the expected, curve of where it's going is probably why you're seeing a lot of the things that are happening and within the market right now.
You said that you knew the range that this would fall in, which is quite different maybe than anyone expected a year ago. No one really knew what he would do. At what point was it that you came to realize that it was going to take top of the market to extend?
I don't know, sometime right after the season last year, as we kind of headed down this way, obviously we were talking about it during the season and what it might look like. It certainly did change as we went through some of the off season, but not incredibly. But yeah, we started talking obviously with his representatives very early after the season, and again, you'd love for these things to go quickly, but they never do. But there's certainly some of the contracts that have happened over the course of the off season, kind of cemented exactly where we kind of felt it was going to probably end up.
Back to your answer to Wes, how important is that steadiness and his personality when you're investing the way you are? Like, I think we all can tell that he's not going to be the complacent guy who gets paid and then stinks. On the flip side, maybe he's a little bit like, I remember Randall Cobb when he got his extension. He actually was so conscientious about it, he wanted to justify it and put that kind of pressure. The fact that Jordan's pretty even-keeled, or very even-keeled, how much does that reassure you about your investment?
Yeah, I think just having him here for the last 4.5 years and watching him go through all the different things he's gone through and how he works and again, you're right. I mean, there's a pressure that comes with that, and guys deal with that different ways. But he's had a lot of pressure before in different situations, and he seemed to handle it well. So we certainly would expect him to handle this. He loves football, and he loves to play, and this is really important to him. And usually guys like that, no matter what the pressure is around them, can kind of focus on what's important to them, and that's what we expect.
He loves football, about him and about other guys you draft. Are there, can you tell that there are guys that are talented enough to play in the league that don't love it, and are those the kind of guys that maybe make you a little nervous from a scouting perspective?
Oh, 100%. We talk about that a lot. In fact, our scouts are in now, and we spend a lot of time talking about and about how important that is to us, and then trying to figure that out, because it's not always easy. And quite frankly, priorities change and things change as players progress through their careers as well. So, yeah, it's really important to us.